So I like the sound of it. I'll show you the headlights here. There you go. I've got, I think it's the Iceberg or the 6000K. The got a slight blue tint to it, but they look really good on the road. I have these on the 02 Suburban too. We'll show you that a little bit later. Also, when we do the 02 Suburban, you'll notice a difference in the 1500 frame compared to the 2500 frame. The motor's down here a little bit farther. Thankfully, he had the previous owner had put the new alternator on, put a remand. I think there's a steering box on, and I think he put a remand Hydro Boost brake module on as well. Now I put this on. We've got a video we'll show you a little bit later of the cold air intake. It's working pretty good so far. I don't know how much actually it improves, but it looks a little bit nicer. It seems like it sounds a little bit better. I don't know for sure. The biggest thing was when I did this was I cleaned out the throttle body with all the soot, the butterfly and all that, and that seemed to make the biggest difference. So, but this was a $50 kit off of eBay and it bolted up pretty good. I put on some different you know, hoses and stuff just to keep it. But a pretty good, for that price, it was a pretty good sized filter. Came with a little box right there. So overall I was impressed. The only thing I had to buy, I believe, was this fitting here, which is actually I bought from Lowe's, and it fit from the pipe to the map sensor really easily. So I think that's about it. We'll see if we can get out of the sand without spinning too much, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the tow haul mode that I found for me working. Console's a big help. Really like that. But yeah, for the tow haul mode, thankfully if I ever go to emergency brake, it has the brake controller in it already, which is a big plus. We'll see if we can pull out of here. No issues with the transmission. Thankfully all the 2500s get the transmission gauge, which is a big help. It's bogging a little bit. I think we're going to pull it out though before cars come. Yep, pull it out good. There we go. Alright, we'll roll up the window here. Definitely the Florida vegetation there, the flora and fauna of Florida. Try saying that 3 or 4 times fast. But yeah, with the tow haul mode, you know, you got your little button here and it'll shine up on the dashboard. Obviously, you don't want to have to rebuild these transmissions if you don't have to. The 4L60s are, you know, prone to wear. I had one go out in that Tahoe 6 months ago, and you know, I had one go out in my red truck too, my red Sierra, and they're a good transmission, just not for day-to-day towing. And this truck, thankfully, it doesn't have the Allison, but it does have the 4L80E, which so far is working good. The shift points are different. I didn't like that at first. I couldn't figure out where my lockup torque converter, you know, mile per hour and RPM was. Finally found that. Normally untowing, it's right between 45 and 50. If you're towing, more than likely you're going to end up going to the lockup after 50 miles an hour. So around town, if I'm doing 35 or 40 miles an hour, I'll actually just put it into the third, so you're out of lockup torque converter, because it seems, to me anyways, it seems that when you have it in tow haul mode at that miles per hour, it really just winds it out. Really, you're running like, you know, 2200 RPM, 2500 RPM towing, and it seems like you're just using a lot of gas. I don't know, I might be wrong on that, but it seems like a better deal for me so far. Thankfully, you can watch that gauge, you know what you're doing. And speaking of that, I can run 20 miles at 55 miles an hour, and in lockup torque converter, towing my 5,000 pounds, and the temperature never gets above where it is now, which is like 150. So that's good. But in town, if you're doing a lot of stop and go, it'll push close to 200 degrees. So I'm looking at maybe getting a bigger cooler, maybe an aluminum trans cover, with a deeper pan so I can get 2 extra quarts in. Doesn't seem to be a real major thing at this point. I am kind of tired of pulling that transmission, so I'd rather avoid that if I can. But so yeah, and if you're doing like 45 and you don't quite get up into the lockup torque converter and you're 45 and above, you can run the in overdrive with the tow haul mode, and that seems to work well. And for me, if you sense that you're going to be you're going to get to 55 and you can be at a sustained speed, it seems like that I can be in tow haul mode, get up to 55, notice when lockup happens, and then turn the tow haul mode off, and it drops the RPMs down to 1700, 1800 if you're doing like 55. So for me, it seems like it's working pretty good. I don't feel a lot of strain on the transmission. I could be totally wrong, to be honest with you. I've seen the internals of a transmission, taken one apart. I'm not an expert on how they work. So that's just what works for me so far. And I've used it, got it in March. The transmission had been done recently with AMSOIL fluids, and they're still nice bright red. So no dirtiness to it, no burnt smell, and I put 6,000 miles on it towing since I bought it in March. So I think that's, seems to be working out so far. There might be a better way to do it, I don't know. I mean, a little bit extra in gas compared to pulling the transmission. I'll let you decide what works for you. But I did decide to go with the 6-liter, a little bit easier to find. I thought about an 8.1 liter, the big block. I thought that sounded kind of neat. Then I considered the even worse gas mileage potentially, and thought, and then parts availability too. How much it would cost to maintain it compared to the more plentiful 6-liter. So I found this truck, and it really was kind of an answer to prayer, and it hit all the things on my wish list to came true. And I mean, write down, I'll have to read that list to you. It's pretty incredible. But the diesel and the 8.1 liter, because of the difference in torque and horsepower, both of those motors came standard with 373 gears. And because this is a 6-liter, it came with 410. So kind of interesting there. We'll get to that house here, I'll back it in, and then read you off that list of what I was looking for. And it's pretty neat how everything just kind of checked off the list. So we'll show you that here in a minute, and go from there. Alright, so here's the list. See if you can see that. 220,000 miles or less. I got it with 196. The AC works. It works very good. Very good running and shifting. That was great. Quad cab. Thankfully, it's got the quad cab. Power windows. Sometimes you think, well, that's not really that big of a deal. But during the summertime, it's nice just to air out the truck, roll the windows down real quick. So it makes it really nice. And I knew I wanted either the 1500 HD or the 2500 HD just so I could get the 4L80 transmission, because they're really designed for towing daily, whereas the 4L60E, that's it's a weekend hauler, and that's about it. Great transmission. I like the shift points better on that transmission. I'll talk to you about that on the Suburban intro. But good transmission. But for towing, you get a 4L80E, or maybe the newer trucks with the 6-speeds, or an Allison, obviously. So then you see next there the 4L80E or Allison transmission. So I got the 4L80, and then the 6-liter or the 8.1. So we got the 6. And then very little to no suspension lift, and it makes it nice. Sometimes I'll carry a yard or yard and a half of mulch or rock, etc., and it's easier to unload that compared with this stock height compared if you have a 4 to 6 inch lift. Those look good, but for working out of, the stock height works just great. This year, because of the hurricanes, it was nice to have as much lift and to have the 285s. I drove out to look at some yards on a lake. They had overflown out through the hurricane, and the water had to be about 12 inches deep. And it was comforting to know you could drive through it with this without, tearing everything up. So that was good. Now here's the preferred options I was looking for. The center console, you got that. You got the 410 gears. I got decent paint, nothing I had to patch right away, which is what I wanted. Four-wheel drive was optional. I wasn't really sold out on that deal. If the shape of the truck was more important than if it had four-wheel drive. So, but I got that too, which this year proved to be very helpful. I had the aluminum wheels, real happy with that. Had good tires, probably replace those next year, and it had the custom exhaust. So overall, very, very, very happy with what I've got there with this truck. Been a big blessing so far. But I hope this video was helpful to you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the